Hello and welcome to Sleep with Ollie. This is a place where we slow down, let go, and gently fall asleep. I'm your sleep companion, Oliver, but you can call me Ollie. It's truly a pleasure to meet you tonight. If your mind feels full, if your thoughts won't quiet down, you're in the right place. Here, there's no pressure, no noise, just calm stories and a voice to guide you into sleep. So, relax, close your eyes, and let Sleep with Ollie carry you away. Now, we're about to begin a dreamy retelling of a story you may have heard before, Alice in the Wonderland. Chapter 4. The Rabbit Sends Little Bill. The White Rabbit was walking back slowly and looking around anxiously as if it had lost something. Alice heard it muttering to itself, "Duchess, Duchess, oh my poor paws, oh my fur and whiskers. If I don't find them, I shall certainly be executed. Where could I have dropped them?" Alice immediately understood. The rabbit was looking for its fan and white gloves. With good intentions, she began to search for them, but they were nowhere to be found, as if everything had changed. Since she came out of the pool, the great hall, the glass table, the little door, all of them had disappeared. After a short while, the rabbit noticed Alice and in an angry voice shouted, "Mary Ann, what are you doing here? Go home at once and bring me a pair of gloves and a fan immediately." Alice was so startled that without making any explanation, she immediately started running. "The rabbit took me for its maid," she said to herself. "It will be terribly surprised when it learns the truth. But first, I must find its gloves and fan, of course, if I can." After a while, she came to a small, tidy house. On its door, there was a bright sign, "W Rabbit." Without knocking, she went inside and quickly ran up the stairs. She was afraid of meeting the real Mary Ann, and before being thrown out, she wanted to find what she was looking for. "How strange," said Alice, "to be doing work for a rabbit. Soon Dinah will start giving me orders." And she began to imagine, "Miss Alice, come here at once. You are going out for a walk. In a minute, nurse. But first, I need to make sure the mouse doesn't escape." Then she laughed. "I suppose they wouldn't allow Dinah to give orders like that." At that moment, she entered a narrow, tidy room. There was a table in front of the window, and on it, just as she had thought, a fan and several pairs of white gloves. She immediately took a pair of gloves and the fan. She was about to leave the room when her eye caught a tiny bottle standing near the mirror. This time, it did not say "drink me" on it, but still. She opened the stopper and brought it to her lips. "Whenever I eat or drink something," she said to herself, "something interesting always happens. Let's see what will happen this time. I hope I grow again. I'm really tired of being this small. And indeed it happened. Moreover, much faster than she expected. Before she had even drunk half of the bottle, her head began to hit the ceiling. To avoid breaking her neck, she had to bend her head. She immediately put the bottle down. That's enough. I hope I don't grow anymore. I already can't get out through the door. I wish I hadn't drunk so much. But it was already too late. She kept growing, and soon she had to kneel down. After a while, even that was no longer possible. She tried to lie down on the floor. She placed one arm against the door, wrapped the other around her head, but she still continued to grow. As a last resort, she stuck one arm out of the window and stretched one foot up the chimney. "There's nothing more I can do," she said to herself. "Whatever happens, happens. I wonder what will happen." Fortunately, the effect of the magic bottle stopped there. She did not grow anymore, but she was still very uncomfortable, and there was no way for her to leave the room. Alice felt unhappy. How much nicer it was at home, she thought. You didn't keep growing and shrinking all the time. And you weren't ordered around by mice and rabbits. I wish I had never gone down that rabbit hole. But still, this life is far too interesting. I wonder what is happening to me. Before, I used to read fairy tales, and I thought none of them were ever real. But now, I am right in the middle of one. A book should be written about me. Yes, certainly. When I grow up, I will write it myself. Then she stopped. But I am already grown up. There isn't even any room here for me to grow. She thought for a moment. I wonder if I will never grow any more. That might be a good thing. I would never get old, but I would always have to study. No, I don't want that. Oh, Alice, how nonsense this all is, she said to herself. How can you study here? There isn't even space for you, not even for books. And so she continued talking to herself. After a while, she heard a voice from outside. She stopped and listened. "Mary Ann, Mary Ann," the voice was shouting. "Bring my gloves quickly." Footsteps were heard coming up the stairs. Alice realized it was the rabbit and began to tremble with fear. Yet now, she was 1,000 times larger than the rabbit, but she could not think of that at all. The rabbit came to the door and tried to open it. But the door opened inward, and Alice's elbow was pressed against it. The door did not open. Alice heard it muttering, "Then I will come in through the window." I will not allow that, Alice thought. She waited for a while. She thought she heard the rabbit come under the window, and suddenly she stretched out her hand, trying to catch it in the air. She caught nothing, but she heard a scream, and then the sound of breaking glass. Alice thought, I suppose it fell into a vegetable garden. Then she heard an angry voice, the rabbit's voice, and another voice as well. "I am here, sir, digging apples." "Digging apples?" shouted the rabbit. "Come and get me out of here." More sounds of breaking glass were heard, "Pat, what is at the window?" said the rabbit. "An arm, sir." "An arm? Who has ever seen such a thing? It is blocking the whole window." "Yes, sir, but it is still an arm." "What is it doing there? Go and remove it." There was a moment of silence. Only voices could be heard. "I can't, sir." "Do what I say." "You are a coward." Alice stretched out her hand again and once more tried to catch it in the air. This time there were 2 screams and even more glass breaking. So many greenhouses, Alice thought. I wonder what they will do now. They are trying to get me out through the window. I wish they could actually succeed. I don't want to stay here. She waited for a while. There was no sound at all. Then she heard the sound of wheels and many people talking. She could make out, where is the other ladder? I only brought one. Bill has it. Bring it here. Put it here. Tie it first. It's not long enough. It will do. It will do. Bill, hold the rope. Will the roof hold? Watch out! Stone falling! Run! There was a loud crash. Then the voices continued. Who did this? I think Bill. Who will go down the chimney? I won't go, said someone. You go? No, I won't go. Then Bill will go. Bill, you have to go down. So Bill is going down the chimney, Alice thought. They are making Bill do everything. I wouldn't want to be in his place. Though the chimney is narrow, maybe I can give it a little kick. She stretched her foot as far into the chimney as she could and waited. She felt something moving underneath it, scratching, a scraping sound. That must be Bill, she said to herself, and suddenly she gave a hard kick. Then she waited. The first thing she heard were voices shouting, Bill is going away! Then the rabbit's voice, catch him, by the fence. Then silence. After that, mixed voices. Lift his head up. Give him a little drink. Don't drown him. What happened? Tell us. At last, a weak voice was heard. This is Bill, Alice thought. I don't really know. I'm fine now. I was very surprised. Something hit me, and I flew like a rocket. Yes, exactly like that, said the others. Then the rabbit's voice came. We will burn the house down. Alice immediately shouted, If you do that, I will set Dinah on you. At once, there was deep silence. Alice thought, I wonder what they will do now. If they have any sense, they will pull the roof off. After a while, voices were heard again. A wheelbarrow will be enough to start with. What will it be filled with? Alice thought, but she could not think much, because suddenly small stones began to rain in through the window. Some hit her face. I must put an end to this, said Alice, and she shouted, You had better not do that again. Again. Deep silence. Then Alice noticed in surprise that the stones on the ground had turned into little cakes. An idea came to her mind. If I eat one of these, I will certainly change size. It cannot make me grow, so it will make me smaller. She ate one of them and immediately began to shrink. When she became small enough to pass through the door, she quickly ran outside. Outside, a large number of animals and birds had gathered. The little lizard Bill was standing in the middle, held by 2 guinea pigs and being made to drink something from a bottle. As soon as Alice appeared, they all ran towards her, but Alice ran away as fast as she could, and soon she found herself safe inside a dense forest. Now, the first thing I must do, she said to herself, is to get back to my normal size. The second thing is to find that beautiful garden. This is the best plan. The plan sounded wonderful, but there was a small problem. She did not know how to do it. While she was looking around anxiously among the trees, she heard a small, sharp bark just above her head. She quickly looked up. A huge puppy was looking at her. It had large, round eyes and was trying to stretch out its paw. "Poor little thing," said Alice in a gentle voice. She tried to call it, but deep down she was afraid. If the puppy was hungry, it might eat her. Not really knowing what she was doing, she picked up a little stick and held it out to the puppy. The puppy jumped up happily and sprang toward the stick. Alice quickly hid herself behind a large thorny plant. The puppy attacked again, but as it ran quickly, it stumbled and rolled over. Alice thought, this is like playing with a horse. I could be crushed at any moment. She hid again. The puppy was making short runs toward the stick, back and forth, and barking all the time. At last, it grew tired and sat down at a distance. Its tongue was hanging out, and its eyes were half closed. This was an opportunity for Alice. She immediately started running and did not stop until she was out of breath. The barking of the dog was now only faintly heard in the distance. "What a lovely little puppy it was," said Alice. "If I were the right size, I would like to teach it a few tricks. Oh, but I forgot. I need to grow again. How am I going to do that? I suppose I must eat something or drink something, but what?" That was the question. Alice looked at the flowers around her, looked at the grass, but could not see anything suitable. Beside her, there was a large mushroom about her own size. She looked under it, looked around it, looked behind it, and then decided to look on top of it. She stood on her tiptoes and looked at the top of the mushroom, and suddenly she found herself face to face with a large blue caterpillar. The caterpillar was sitting with its arms folded, smoking a long hookah and paying no attention to Alice at all. Chapter 5. Advice from a Caterpillar. Alice and the caterpillar looked at each other in silence for a while. At last, the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth and spoke in a sleepy voice, "Who are you?" This was not a very good beginning. Alice replied a little timidly, I hardly know, sir. At least, I knew who I was this morning. But since then, I have changed several times." "What do you mean by that?" said the caterpillar. "Explain yourself." "I cannot explain myself," said Alice, "because I am not myself anymore." "I don't understand," said the caterpillar. "I cannot make it clearer," said Alice politely, "because I do not understand it myself. To be changing size all day is very confusing." "Not at all," said the caterpillar. "Perhaps you have not experienced it yet," said Alice. "But one day you will become a chrysalis, then a butterfly. Wouldn't that seem strange to you?" "Not at all," said the caterpillar. "Maybe not to you," said Alice, "but it would be very strange to me." "You," said the caterpillar contemptuously. "Who are you?" The conversation had come back to the beginning again. Alice became a little annoyed, stood up straight, and said in a serious voice, "I think you should introduce yourself first." "Why?" said the caterpillar. This question, again, puzzled Alice. She could not find an answer, and as the caterpillar did not seem very pleasant, she turned away and began to walk off. "Come back," called the caterpillar. "I have something important to tell you." This sounded promising. Alice turned back. "Keep your temper," said the caterpillar. "Is that all?" said Alice, trying to suppress her anger. "No!" said the caterpillar. Alice decided to wait. It had nothing else to do anyway. Perhaps it was about to say something important. For a while, the caterpillar only blew smoke rings. Then it spoke. "Do you think you have changed?" "Yes," said Alice. "I can't remember things properly anymore, and I keep changing size." "What can't you remember?" said the caterpillar. "I tried to say a poem," said Alice sadly, "but it came out wrong." Then, "Say, you are old, Father William," said the caterpillar. Alice folded her hands and began. "You are old, Father William," said the young man, "and your hair has turned completely white. Yet you keep standing on your head. Is that right at your age?" "In my youth," said Father William, "I feared it might damage my brain, but now I am quite sure I have no brain at all. So I keep doing it again and again." "You are old," said the young man, "and rather fat. Yet you still do somersaults when you walk through doors. What is the reason for that?" "In my youth," said the wise man, "I kept my body flexible. With this ointment, I can even sell you some, if you like." "You are old," said the young man, "and your jaw is weak. How do you eat bones and fish?" "In my youth," said the father, "I practiced law and argued constantly with my wife, which strengthened my jaw, and it has continued all my life." "You are old," said the young man, "and it is surprising your eyes are still so sharp. Yet you are balancing an eel on the tip of your nose. How did you manage that?" "I have answered 3 questions," said the father. "That is enough. Now be quiet. Do you think I shall listen to such nonsense all day? Go, or I will kick you down." "That is not right," said the caterpillar. "I think I didn't get it quite right," said Alice timidly. "Some of the words have changed. All wrong from beginning to end," said the caterpillar firmly. There was silence for a while. Then the caterpillar spoke. "What size would you like to be?" "Size doesn't matter much to me," said Alice, "but constantly changing is not pleasant." "I don't understand," said the caterpillar. Alice said nothing. For the first time in her life she had been contradicted so much, and she felt herself beginning to get angry. "Are you satisfied now?" said the caterpillar. "I would like to be a little taller," said Alice. 3 inches is not a very good height." "It is a very good height," said the caterpillar angrily, and it straightened itself up. It was exactly 3 inches high. "But I'm not used to it," said Alice sadly. "You will get used to it," said the caterpillar, and it put the hookah back in its mouth. This time, Alice waited patiently. After a while, the caterpillar spoke again. It yawned, stretched itself, and climbed down from the mushroom. As it went away, it only said, "One side will make you grow. The other side will make you shrink." "One side of what?" thought Alice. "The other side of what?" "The mushroom," said the caterpillar, as if Alice had asked the question aloud, and it disappeared in an instant. Alice looked at the mushroom and thought which side was which, but the mushroom was perfectly round. It was hard to tell. At last, she broke off pieces from both sides with her hands. "Now, which is which?" she said to herself. She took a bite from the piece in her right hand. In an instant, she felt a sharp blow to her chin. It had hit her foot. She was shrinking very quickly. She was frightened, but without wasting time, she began eating from the other piece. Her chin was so close to her feet that even opening her mouth was difficult, but she managed it and swallowed a piece. "Oh," said Alice happily, but this happiness turned into fear at once, because her shoulders had disappeared. Looking down, she could only see a long neck. Her neck was like a stalk rising among green leaves. "What is this?" said Alice. "Where are my shoulders? My hands? As snakes as well?" "I don't believe it," said the pigeon. "If that is true, then they must be a kind of snake too. I can't say anything else." This idea was completely new to Alice. She remained silent for a while. The pigeon continued, "You are looking for eggs. I know that. It doesn't matter whether you are a little girl or a snake." "It matters to me," said Alice quickly. "I am not looking for eggs. And even if I were, I wouldn't want yours. I don't like them raw." "Then go away," said the pigeon sulkily, and it settled back into its nest. Alice walked carefully through the trees, because her long neck kept getting tangled in the branches. She often had to stop and untangle her neck. After a while, she remembered that she still had pieces of the mushroom in her hand. Carefully, She ate a little from one piece, then a little from the other. Sometimes she grew taller, sometimes shorter, until she returned to her normal height. She had not been at her normal height for a long time, so at first she felt a little strange, but she soon got used to it, and she began talking to herself again. "All right, half my plan is done. These changes are so confusing. For a moment, I never know what I am going to be. But now I am back to my normal size. The next thing is to get into that beautiful garden. I wonder how I'm going to do that." Just as she said this, she came out into a small open space. There was a little house there, about 1 meter high. "Whoever lives here," said Alice, "I can't show myself like this. They would be terrified." So she began eating again from the right-hand side of the mushroom, and without making herself smaller, she decided not to approach the house yet. At last, she reached about 20 centimeters in height, and now she was ready. Chapter 6. Pig and Pepper. Alice stood for a while in front of the house and thought about what to do. Just then, from inside the forest, a footman in livery came running. Alice took him for a footman because he was so formally dressed. Otherwise, judging by his face, she would have called him a fish. He came up to the door and knocked loudly. The door was opened by another footman. He was dressed in the same way, but his face was round, and he had eyes like a frog. Both of them had powdered hair and curly wigs. Alice was very curious and moved a little closer to listen. The fish footman took a large letter from under his arm, almost as big as himself. He said very seriously, "For the Duchess." An invitation from the Queen to play croquet. The frog footman repeated just as seriously, "From the Queen." An invitation to the Duchess to play croquet. Then they both bowed, but their wigs got tangled together. Alice could not help laughing and ran back into the wood so they would not hear her. When she looked again, the fish footman had gone. The other one was sitting by the door, staring blankly at the sky. Alice approached timidly and knocked on the door. "There is no use in knocking," said the footman. "Two reasons. First, I am on the same side of the door as you. Second, there is so much noise inside. No one can possibly hear you." Indeed, from inside, a terrible noise was coming. Constant sneezing, crying, and every now and then the sound of breaking plates. "Well, how am I to get in?" said Alice. "If the door were between us, it would make sense," said the footman. "If you were inside, I could let you out." She realized that this remark was not directed at her, but at the baby. She felt a little relieved and continued speaking. "I didn't know that Cheshire cats always smiled. In fact, I didn't even know cats could smile. They all can. said the Duchess, "and most of them do." "I have never seen it," said Alice gently. She was pleased to have the chance to join the conversation. "You don't know very much," said the Duchess. Alice did not like this tone at all. She decided to change the subject. Just as she was thinking, the cook took the soup off the stove and suddenly began throwing anything she could reach. First came the frying pans, then the kettles, plates. Everything was flying through the air. The Duchess paid no attention at all, even when things hit her. She did not react. The baby was crying non-stop, so it was impossible to tell whether it was being hit or not. "Please be careful," cried Alice, jumping in horror. "His nose is gone." A large saucepan had nearly taken the baby's nose off. "If everybody minded their own business," said the Duchess in a hoarse voice, "the world would go around a great deal faster." "That would not be a good thing," said Alice. She had found a chance to show her knowledge. "Just think, how would day and night be? The Earth turns in 24 hours around its axis." "I say axis," said the Duchess. "Off with his head." Alice looked at the cook in fear, but the cook was busy with the soup. She did not hear anything. Alice continued, 24 hours, I think. Or was it 12? "Oh, don't bother me with things like that," said the Duchess. "I have no interest in numbers at all." Then she began to shake the baby and started singing a lullaby, but it was a very rough lullaby. At the end of every verse, she shook the baby violently. The cook also, and the baby too, continued to cry along with her. The Duchess was swinging the baby up and down, and the poor child was crying so loudly that Alice could not even hear the song. "Here, you may as well take it," said the Duchess, and she threw the baby at Alice. "I am going to play croquet with the Queen." And she walked out of the room. The cook threw a frying pan after her, but missed. Alice managed to catch the baby with some difficulty. It was a very strange baby. Its arms and the poor thing was grunting like a steam engine and constantly twisting and turning. For the first few minutes, it was difficult even to hold it. At last, she understood how to calm it. She wrapped it up like a bundle and held it firmly by its right ear and its left foot so that it could not unfold itself. She carried it outside into the fresh air. "If I don't take this child away from here," she thought, "they will kill it within a day or two. To leave it here would be murder." She said this aloud. The baby grunted. "That is not a proper expression," said Alice. The baby grunted again. Alice looked carefully at its face. Something was clearly wrong. Its nose was becoming more like a pig's snout than a human nose. Its eyes, too, were getting very small. Alice did not like it very much. "Perhaps it is only crying," she thought, but there were no tears in its eyes. "If you are going to turn into a pig," said Alice firmly, I shall have nothing more to do with you." The baby grunted again, in a very strange way that could not be understood. For a while, they walked on in silence. Alice was thinking, "What shall I do with it when I take it home?" Just then, the baby grunted violently. Alice looked at it in alarm. This time, there was no doubt. It was no longer a baby. It was really a pig. Alice put it down on the ground. The pig walked quietly away into the forest. "If it had grown up," said Alice, "it would have been a very ugly child, but it makes a very nice pig." Then she thought, "Some children might actually turn into pigs. If only I knew how to turn them back." Just then, a little further ahead, on a branch of a tree, the Cheshire Cat appeared. The cat looked at Alice and smiled. It looked friendly, but it had long claws and sharp teeth. Alice was careful. "Well, Cheshire Cat," she said timidly. The cat grinned even wider. "I think it likes me," thought Alice, and she asked, "Which way should I go from here?" "That depends on where you want to get to," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. "As long as I get somewhere," said Alice. "Oh, you're sure to do that," said the cat, "if you only walk long enough." Alice could not deny that. She asked another question. "What sort of people live around here?" The cat pointed with its right paw in one direction. "Over there lives a hatter." It pointed the other way. "And over there, a March hare. You can go whichever you like. They're both mad." "I don't want to go among mad people," said Alice. "Oh, you can't help that," said the cat. "Everyone here is mad. I'm mad. You're mad too." "How do you know I'm mad?" said Alice. "You must be," said the cat, "or you wouldn't have come here." Alice did not think that was much of a proof, but she asked, "How do you know that you are mad?" "Well," said the cat, "dogs are not mad, are they?" "I suppose not," said Alice. "Well then," said the cat, "a dog growls when it is angry, and wags its tail when it is happy. But I growl when I'm happy, and wag my tail when I am angry. I must be mad. I would call it purring rather than growling," said Alice. "Call it what you like," said the cat. "Are you going to play croquet with the Queen today?" "I should very much like to," said Alice, "but I have not been invited." "You will see me there," said the cat, and it disappeared all at once. Alice was not very surprised. She was getting used to it now, just where she was looking. The cat appeared again. "What happened to the baby?" it said. "I almost forgot about it." "It turned into a pig," said Alice calmly. "I thought it would," said the cat, and it vanished again. Alice waited for a while, hoping it would reappear, but it did not. After a minute or two, she continued on her way towards the direction where the March hare lived. "I've seen hares before," she said to herself. "The March hare will be more interesting. Perhaps now it is May, so it won't be as mad as in March." Just as she said this, she looked up, and the cat was there again. on a branch of a tree. "Did you say pig or fig?" said the cat. "Pig," said Alice, "and I wish you wouldn't keep appearing and disappearing so suddenly. It makes one dizzy." "Very well," said the cat. This time it slowly faded away, first its tail, then its body, and last of all, only its smile remained. For a while, the smile hung in the air, and then it also disappeared. "I have seen a cat without a smile," thought Alice, "but a smile without a cat. That is the strangest thing I have ever seen in my life." She walked on a little further, and at last she saw the March Hare's house. The chimneys of the house were shaped like ears, and the roof was covered with fur. "That must be the right place," said Alice, but the house was very large, and she did not want to approach it at once. She ate a little more of the mushroom and increased her height to about 1/2 meter. Still, she was cautious. She walked slowly closer and muttered to herself, "What if he really is very mad? Perhaps I should have gone to the Hatter instead." For Chapter 3, don't forget to follow the channel.